What I've got for you today is an amazing match of StarCraft 2. It's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where we find ourselves on the map Ancient Cistern. Now, right at the very start of this game, our Terran player has decided to send out an SCV as he now builds a proxy barracks right underneath the, what do you call this, like the cliff that has the Protoss base built on it. Spawning right here in the top right corner of the map, playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than Classic. His opponent in the opposite corner, now following this up as well with double refinery inside of the main base. We're looking inside of the main of Cure. Both of these players are from South Korea. Both of them are ridiculously good. Classic has been looking like a world-class Protoss player lately. I've mentioned this before, but I actually do believe he may be the very best Protoss player in the world right now. The thing is, he's going up against Cure, who's an absolute Protoss killer. Incredibly good Terran right now, and honestly, his Terran versus Protoss, I think it's best in class. It's better than even Maru's right now. So, anyways, at the very least, Classic, unlike, for example, Hero, he does decide to go for the Probe Scout. And that's going to be quite nice, because at the very least, it'll allow him right now to go for a Zealot here at home. Engineering Bay block as well coming up, as a Reaper is building inside of that barracks. So this Engineering Bay block is going to be a little bit annoying. It's going to, well, force this expansion to be slowed down quite a bit. But not seeing that there's a barracks inside of the main base of the Terran, I mean, it could still be literally anywhere, but at the very least now he knows that he is going to be forced to make a Zealot just on the off chance that this Reaper indeed does pop straight into the main base, and that is a very aggressively positioned barracks for sure. Alright, Engineering Bay here is going to end up getting cancelled, makes a lot of sense. One probe has already gone down here, that was the one that was on the low ground previously. Stalker is going to pop out of that gateway here momentarily. Nice little bit of micro here though, coming out of Classic. He is going to lose one more probe, but I think that's basically the end of this. Second Reaper was also produced. Is he going to let it finish? I guess so at this point, but it's probably not going to achieve all too much. Alrighty. Nexus should be coming up here momentarily. There we go. Very good. And Cure, I mean, he does have an expansion building as well, but of course it's gonna be a little while until he'll be able to fly that down towards the low ground. Speaking of flying though, the barracks right now, yeah, it's gonna have to make the very long journey back home, and maybe that's the reason for the second Reaper. With the second Reaper available, I guess the Stalker is gonna have to chill at home for a little while longer, because, I mean, there's a second Stalker available right now too. Actually, the Reaper's managed to sneak around. This may actually get a couple kills if he's not careful. Yeah, super annoying. Couple grenades going down as well. Any probe kill right now is sweet. Alright. So 5 workers here in total for 2 Reapers. The main problem here, I guess, is that this barracks is going to have to fly all the way back home. And basically all of the Terran early game, it pivots on the Stimpack upgrade, right? You need to get the Stimpack upgrade done. There's another barracks coming up right now, but whatever he goes for, it's going to be a little bit delayed. In the meantime though, Classic apparently is done with the proxy on his side of the map, so he decides to go for a proxy on his opponent's side of the map as well. Gateway coming up on the back of this. Now it's Classic, who in turn is going to try and pile on the pressure. We do have a medevac coming up. Couple Widow Mines already available, 3 Widow Mines here in total. I think he's going to have to, yeah, I was going to say, keep at least one of them at home to deal with these Stalkers. Is he going to see this? He does accidentally now scout the proxy. So Cure is going to have to decide, does he still want to commit right here with the medevac? I mean, I guess he's found a bit of an angle to try and sneak that medevac out. But now it's going to be Classic, who in turn is going to have to be the aggressor here, right? Now, he doesn't have anything providing high ground vision, and obviously these Widow Mines are going to be very keen to shoot at any of those Stalkers. Medevac drop, though, is going to head across the map. Raven right now on the back of this too here for Cure, because he doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against. Could quite literally be anything. Alright, here goes the medevac drop, but yeah, Classic saw this one coming in from a mile away. I mean, careful. Ooh, I was going to say, you did see that it unloaded, right? Okay. I thought for a second he was going to clump up all of those probes and then send them into the Widow Mine. That would suck. Alright, eventually it's going to just get a single kill, but of course still a ton of lost mining time. Now, I don't actually think that Classic is really committing to an all-out assault here. He's just sort of built this gateway, knowing very well that it's difficult here for the opponent to shut this down. And if he can sort of like soft contain his opponent just on this high ground, I guess life is pretty good. Income-wise, I mean, there was, of course, a little bit of a dip in right there because all the probes were not mining, but this should be an advantage here for Classic, especially now with his second base up and running. He's even thinking about making a third Nexus as well, so despite the fact that, okay, well, he's dealing with a Widowmine drop, lovely little play right there. Not running this time around, just sniping it straight up. Yeah, despite the fact that he may have been thinking about being the aggressor, I actually think taking the third base here makes a whole lot of sense. Twilight Council on the back of this. A Robo facility as well here coming up for Classic. As he's still just trying to secure, well, Terran that is. He's still just trying to secure this low ground. Raven here getting targeted down, but mostly just a whole lot of damage being done. The shields here coming in very handy. Adept trying to shade onto the high ground. Well, it's not going to get that done, but at the very least it provided the high ground vision that those Stalkers needed to shut down the siege tank. And once again, this orbital command is going to have to retreat with its tail between its legs over here. I mean, it's proverbial tail. I guess he's gonna have to get it to the low ground again, right? He will secure it here at some point, but any slowdown at this point is gonna go in favor of Protoss. Unless he loses literally every single unit here to a siege tank. I don't think that would be ideal, but in the meantime, the third Nexus is basically finishing up. Charge is gonna come up as well as the very first upgrade here, by the way, out of that Twilight Council. That's a little bit interesting. Yeah, only Warp Gate's done here for now. I think Classic wants to go for an all-out assault on the back of this. Doesn't necessarily have to. Maybe he's gonna make it here as well, just as a defensive measure instead. Kira's gonna try and test the waters once again with another medevac drop here on the right side of the map. This time around, I don't believe it's been spotted by Classic, but his reaction time has been on point. There's a whole lot of nothing available. Kira's actually not yet expecting this third Nexus to be done, it seems. Good reaction speed once again, though, by the Protoss. And, yep. Just so annoying, right? Trying to buy as much time as possible. Alright, eventually these workers are going to be able to return to mining, but not before Cure is done dancing here. In the meantime, though, Terran army a little bit overextending. I mean, that siege tank on the high ground is having a grand old time, just gunning away at the Zealots, but in the meantime, it's also dealing some splash damage to the Marines and the Marauders. Widowmine drop continues over here, but at the very least, it's not getting that much work done. But it's buying a lot of time, right? It's buying a lot of time where Classic is not actually harvesting those minerals. Charge coming in very handy. Classic could have turned this into an all-in if he really wanted to, but apparently not what he wants to do. He's gonna, yeah, he's just gonna get the blink upgrade on the back of this. Careful now, don't lose any stalkers to that random siege tank over there. There's still one Widowmine, by the way, inside of that medevac, and this is super annoying because, well, there's nothing available here for the Protoss player to really deal with it, so he's gonna have to occupy a bunch of his army just, yeah, right over here on his side of the map. There goes the Widowmine drop once again, this time around. Okay, almost got a big hit in. He's constantly retargeting here. Look at Cure. Just styling on his opponent a little bit. At this point, it's unclear whether or not the medevac still has a Widowmine in it, right? So you still sort of have to occupy some units. Unless, yeah, Classic is very good at counting, and he's figured out exactly the amount of Widowmines that were ever sent across the map, and he now knows, okay, this one must be empty. But that's the reason why Cure is hanging around here in the top right-hand corner, just to always be a threat to the opponent. Alrighty. Still though, Cure has built up a pretty formidable army. I don't actually know, yeah, he's gonna commit. I was gonna say, I don't think this is a great move right here by our Terran player. He really wants to shut down that proxy gateway, but it's not quite time just yet. I quite like, though, the way that Classic is playing this. Like, Classic normally is a lot more passive. I kind of feel like that's the one criticism, I guess, you can have of Classic's gameplay. Sometimes he's just a bit too passive, but in this game, look at him. Constantly in the opponent's face, not really concerned of... Look at that! There you go, lovely play. Leaving that Zealot behind, forcing some of that friendly fire by the Terran. In this particular game, I mean, apparently we did have a Widowmine drop once again, that this time I did miss. Fine, I'll back off. Here we go. 7 probes in total. Anyways, this was a cool little move. Just trying to be as annoying as possible. Still though, Cure's supply count is amazing here. And at this point, he's also got 54 workers after the Widowmine drop. That is quite a bit more than his opponent. Third command center, of course, is done as well at this point. And even though this has been a difficult position to break out of, Cure has been taking the better trades here overall. Still, this is a Protoss with a sick economy, right? Does he have a Robo Bay yet? Okay, I was gonna say, that one's coming up right now. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Robotics Bay here is going to allow him to tech up to some of those higher units that... So some of those higher tier units, right, that are very helpful. Okay, don't lose the Observer, please. He's gotta go down. Yeah, getting that Robo Bay out is very helpful to go into either the Colossus or the Disruptor, or both. Prism drop right now coming into the main base. Getting some work done, but nothing all too crazy. This next attack here, though, from the Terran is going to be quite scary indeed. Okay, now that is, I was going to say, a little bit over-eager. This attack over here is scary, because there will not be Colossi and there will not be Disruptors out, so no splash damage here for Protoss whatsoever. There's obviously no High Templar with Storm either. He's going to have to deal with this big Terran army with just a bunch of Stalkers and Zealots. Now, he does have a very good amount of Stalkers and Zealots, but this always feels a little bit flimsy to me. Upgrade-wise, though, Classic does have a nice advantage. As a matter of fact, this is a mistake right here from our Terran player, prioritizing the armor upgrade for some reason. Raven does get sniped. I guess that's telling the story that the Colossus is gonna be on the horizon, but Zealots right now coming in from the flank as well. I have no idea why he decided to go the armor upgrade. That's actually a major mistake. Cure making a move that Bjorn is very well known for, but not one that is necessarily positive. I thought maybe he queued up the upgrades, but no, he literally just got the armor upgrade rather than the attack. It's the same cost. There's really no reason. On these units, it's much better. Maybe against the Zealots, he thought, okay, yeah, it's not a terrible idea. Anyways, it does mean that this Terran army deals less damage than it should, and it looks like Classic, at the very least for now, is holding on to that base of his. Now the Colossus is out. Of course, the Raven got blinked underneath, so that Raven at this point is gone. And the Colossus, even though it's got shorter range rather at this point, extended thermal lens is coming up. It's still dishing out quite a bit of supplemental damage. Okay, nice fighting here. Constant back and forth. If you look at the units lost, yeah, it's relatively even. I mean, a little bit more gas lost on the side of the Terran, more minerals lost though on the side of the Protoss. Income-wise, you can see it's an absolute roller coaster of a game, but Classic does have a slight advantage there at this point. I mean, it depends on when those mules are mining. Army-wise, though, yeah, Cure has been pulling ahead throughout the course of this game. Prism here being chased down, not gonna happen. Dark Shrine coming up as well now for the Protoss player, who's gonna finish up that extended thermal lens. And the extended thermal lens upgrade is amazing. It is once again fixed, by the way. There was a little bit of a bug with this particular upgrade, where it provided one more range than it actually needed, or should have. This is a bug that's been fixed again. It made the Colossus a little bit better. And honestly, it's an interesting balance suggestion. I actually didn't necessarily mind it, but yeah, anyways. 2 dropships apparently pass each other on the right side of the map. 5th Nexus now coming up at the 12 o'clock position. 4th Command Center about halfway done in the natural expansion of our Terran. Widowmine drop number 79 coming up right here as well. Okay, he is gonna split this all off eventually. In the meantime, though, this is creating a distraction. Zealots here getting some work done, dropping on top of that siege tank here on the high ground. Terran army as well up north. Definitely can take down this base if he decides to commit. Okay, Zealot there did finish the tank. I think the Nexus, yeah, is gonna stay alive here for now. Protoss moving in, and you can see that was a small mistake right there from Cure. He could have most definitely had that Nexus, but he was distracted. Still though, you can see on the minimap, he's moving his army right on down towards the right side of the map. All of the Terran reinforcements are hunting down that 3rd Nexus. Classic forced to split up his army as well, but this is a pretty fast-moving Protoss force, so he can indeed control different areas of the map. The Terran army on the left, though, never really left. Or, on the left side of the map, it never really left. Widow Mines are getting some work done over here, killing some of the Zealots, but I'm assuming there will be an observer close by. There's that force, though. Okay, finishing the job that they did not get done earlier in that Nexus. It's not gonna even get cancelled, it's gonna just straight up get destroyed. Can we get a Purification Nova here, please? It would be really nice to get rid of these Widow Mines. Okay, there they go. Observer coming in clutch. Terran, in the meantime, by the way, has secured that base over here at the 9 o'clock position. Planetary Fortress is going to be built on top of that command center. So Protoss is not going to be able to harass that with just a bunch of Zealots. He is prioritizing the armor upgrade. What in the world's going on here? That really is interesting to me. Like, we ran the numbers in like 2011 and we all figured out that the attack upgrades should be prioritized. But if Cure is doing that twice in a row... he must genuinely... Like, I thought it was a misclick the first time around, but the fact that he does it again is actually a little bit crazy. Yeah, at +1/+2. That is not the ordinary upgrade order. I mean, I guess in a lot of games you go for double upgrades too, right? So it really wouldn't be a problem, but... Anyways, interesting. Interesting decision right there from Cure. Looking to go for a bit of a doom drop here, but he doesn't realize he's being observed. That's gonna give Protoss a lot of time to prepare. Still, yeah, the Colossi are gonna have to use their cliff walking ability to get up towards the high ground. Here's the big drop in the main base. In the meantime, though, there's a large Terran army still on the right side of the map, but the majority of the Protoss force has apparently decided to sit over there as well. This main base is actually in a lot of trouble. Dark Templar not really gonna be able to get that much done. Protoss a little bit, unsure as to how much army they should send to the main base. I think eventually, though, the reinforcements are gonna allow this to get cleaned up. Okay, a couple Dark Templar here on the left side of the map as well. A few over here on the right side too, creating as much chaos as possible. Medevacs once again picked up their cargo, and it's gonna sit over here in the top right-hand corner. Terran actually has found an angle where Protoss is not located. EMP right there on the shield battery. That means that this Nexus is gonna fall. Protoss in the meantime going in for the counter-attack as well. Suddenly there is chaos everywhere, and this is an expensive set of Terran units to lose for free. Medevacs immediately get targeted as well by those Stalkers. Okay, that Nexus over there, over at the 4th base of the Protoss, immediately ended up going down. I've got a feeling, indeed, that Terran is going to have to get on out of here as well. 16 SCVs have already been picked off. Full-on base race right now in this epic game. We've got the natural expansion in a little bit of trouble. Those Colossi, though, they have been shooting their lasers for a little while. Reinforcing Terran units, or sorry, Protoss units here, should be able to at least slow down the advancement, as Protoss is right now ready to just break into the natural expansion here of the Terran player as well. Terran reinforcements, though, have been inside of the main base for a while. He's been saving them up, so breaking that position is going to be tricky. Disruptor gets ready to its death. Medevacs once again have unloaded inside of the main base here of the Protoss, and Kira is going to continue the harassment for a little while longer. The Planetary Fortress, though, really coming in very handy. And in the end, both players have a pretty similar amount of supply. Medevacs here getting sniped. Alright. Yeah, in the end, the supply count is almost dead even. There's a bigger army still available for Cure, but with this many disruptors in the mix, it's actually very difficult to get an all-out assault going. Obviously, Cure will still have mules, but did he end up losing one of the orbital commands? Yeah, he did end up losing one of the orbital commands, so that's actually quite substantial. Because despite the base race, it looks like the macro game goes on right now. New base, by the way, here created by Classic. Lovely play here. In the midst of all that chaos, he decided to build a Nexus over here, which is really quite clever, because it's gonna put him in a much better position right now. Couple ghosts over here, very exposed. Medevac goes down. That's like 3 ghosts down the drain in exchange for like a Zealot or 2. Cure hoping that his opponent decided to remake this base, but it turns out, indeed, that location is still empty. So no free pickings there. How many disruptors are we on? We're currently at 4 disruptors. 2 more are coming up. Medevac drops into the main base. That observer, though, once again, coming in clutch. Lovely repositioning of these observers, by the way, from Classic. It's not really something we talk about all too often, but it's gotta be the same observer that previously, saw that Terran army coming in from the north. Now it's doing the same thing once again over here. Terran once more splitting up their units, going after the base here in the bottom right-hand corner that doesn't exist. He will, however, see... Okay, yeah, Jimmy here is gonna scout the Nexus here on the high ground, but the Protoss army is already present once again. Terran thinking about maybe moving into the natural expansion. Not a lot of mining anymore here for Classic, but he would probably prefer keeping that Nexus around. The old main base has been repositioned down towards that 3rd, okay, fair enough. So at least there's gonna be some more mining here coming up for the Terran, who's now adding on a lot of additional refineries, so we'll have to see what he decides to spend that gas on over the next couple minutes. Okay, this is a nice pick-off, though. Yeah, getting like 5-6 Zealots there for free. Not bad at all. Jimmy here, by the way, still gets to live his life and maybe even go after this probe. Never mind. That is trying to move on over down towards the bottom right. Probably build a Nexus over there as well. The Nexus. Yep, there it is. Okay. Observer here, yeah, he's trying to spot it. There's a prism right now hanging out here as well, so Classic is just using whatever tool he's got. Once again, though, going for the full-on counter-attack. Okay, getting a lot of damage done over here. Those Dark Templar, I mean, the Dark Shrine has been dead for a while. Big disruptor hits. Classic suddenly dominates that Terran army. There's no way for him to get out. A lot of that is due to the fact, though, that Cure, once again, this is a Cure classic, decided to split up his army, kills the base over here on the right side of the map, and he's now gonna go after this Nexus over here as well. The next Nexus? Anyway, natural expansion right now in trouble. Yep. We do see the orbital command. That's the second orbital. No, the third orbital command that has fallen right. No, second orbital command. No, third orbital command that have fallen. Thought for a second this was the old main base. Disruptors over here. Gotta get some work done. Lovely little bit of SCV planetary fortress micro. He pops the... That's a cute move. He pops the SCVs into the planetary fortress to then pop them out on the other side to try and protect against the Purification Nova. Now Cure is on the hunt. His economy has been absolutely shattered, but he does still pick off a lot of this Protoss army because it didn't all fit in the recall. Going after as many units as possible. Classic does still have a lot more mining than his opponent, though, especially now with this base over here in the bottom right-hand corner, completely unscouted. Cure ended up losing a tremendous amount of army over here at his old third base, but he still has a scary amount of stuff remaining. This is mostly the reinforcements now grouped together with that counterattack squad. I don't think he realizes that there's a base in the bottom right. No. So he checked this one a few minutes ago and it wasn't made then, but this is honestly Classic's lifeline at this point. How many command centers do we still have? Just the one. Just the one. So we just have one command center here and that's it. Cure only has 4 SCVs, so his income here is also really nothing to write home about. If you look right here at the income graph in the top left, or the income tab over here in the top left, you can see that Protoss is getting a lot more reinforcements. That's why Cure decides to jump on this, coming in from as many angles as possible. Picks off one of the disruptors before it detonates, but he did take a big Purification Nova to the face. Another Nova over here. Once again, nice splits right there by Cure. Nice retreating Novas, though, here by Classic, who is slowly starting to whittle away at this army over here. Most of those Purification Novas at this point are on cooldown. Cure has spotted the Nexus right now in the bottom right-hand corner. Snipes a couple more of those Disruptors. Here's a reinforcing one, though, coming in clutch as well. Cure is going to have to stop chasing. I think he really needs to take care of this army over here, or this economy, rather, over here. There's no recall available, so Classic, rather than fighting this army again... Yeah, I think he's gonna have to give this up. And that's painful. There's a base over here, there's a Nexus over here, but no mineral fields anywhere. So even though there's like 20, 30-ish supply caught up in probes, well, Cure is gonna give a little bit of a supply cleanup right here. These probes were not gonna be particularly helpful anyways. Command center over here on the left side of the map, evacuating once again. How many probes remain? Just the 4. 4 probes versus 4 SCVs. This is one of the very best games of StarCraft 2 this year so far. Can I call this game of the year? It's been about a month and a half or so since I've last titled a video Game of the Year. I think I'm gonna call this one Game of the Year, guys. I get a Game of the Year like 12 times a year, right? Like once a month? I think that's how that works. Game of the Month doesn't have the same clickbait to it. I'm sorry, guys. No, but genuinely, though, all jokes aside, we're now 23-ish minutes into this game. And it is completely unclear as to who's winning this. I like Cure's army here. It's a nice force. But it's also something that can all sort of just fit in one Purification Nova, right? Like, there are some Disruptors available. Quite a few of them, actually. It looks like Classic has just smashed his piggy bank. Even though he's only got 4 probes, he didn't mine enough minerals here to go for another base. There are a few... Ghosts in the mix, so EMPs, yes, big EMP. Lovely work. But this is an army from Protoss here that can be microed very nicely. The Disruptors, the Blink Stalkers, the Prism, of course, as well. You can pick these units up. Classic, though, okay, he's now going up against the Terran, who's decided to spend some of that energy. I think originally the plan was to use all of that energy for scans. But now that he sees that the Protoss economy is also down the drain, Classic has decided to drop some mules once again. Yep, there we go. Just continuously mining as many minerals as possible, and the roller coaster continues in the income advantage. Now with those mules going to town, at least temporarily, Terran is gonna have a booming economy. Cure once again with some nice army movement, though. He's accidentally gonna stumble upon a Nexus that he didn't necessarily expect. Not entirely sure where Classic was going. It was maybe hoping that this would be the mining base over here as well. Obviously, they do not have perfect vision here. And that Nexus Okay, it's gonna go down. We're gonna spend our last little bit of money here on additional observers, which is nice and all. Obviously, you're gonna get a bit of vision out. But without the speed upgrade, those observers are gonna be a bit sketchy. So, previously it was Cure, who was on his last leg against a Protoss player with a booming economy. Right now, it's gonna be Classic, who has to do the same thing against Cure right now. He wants to force this engagement. Just rolling a Purification Nova down that ramp. Is this the moment where Cure decides to pull the trigger? Okay, well, any Marine at this point counts. That Marine is indeed super dead. But Cure is mining a little bit. And any Marine that he gets right now, any Marauder that he produces, is going to be fantastic. His army is slowly going to outgrow Classics. I would say, though, that in a head-on engagement right now, I do think that Protoss is in a decent spot. Okay, he gets one more sentry out, but that's really going to be it. He's long-distance mining a few minerals here and there. Don't lose your army to Purification Novas. It's quite a few units going down, but quite a few Zealots also had to pay the price. So many Novas available here, though. Triniter just rolled him through his army. Alright. The fact that Cure is producing here, though, is absolutely massive. Nice little bit of pickup micro there as well by our Protoss player, trying to make the best of this scenario, but lovely little bit of micro here coming out of Cure, too. Any unit that he snipes right now is not gonna be rebuilt. I guess I'll be switching on over towards the units tab right there in the top left-hand corner to give you a better picture of this game. Cure is producing. Cure is producing. It's not a lot, but it's adding up over the course of this match. There's another Disruptor miss rally. Okay, at the very least, he does pick them up in the Prism. Good running as well by Cure. Nice little split. There are still 2 Purification Novas available, but there's not enough room in the Prism for the third one right there. Sentry right now in a little bit of trouble as well. Cure is starting to suffocate his opponent. It's only one Marauder coming out of those barracks at once, but he's getting a, well, superior army over the course of this match. Classic right now, though, decides to put all of his eggs in one basket. Okay, one Medevac over here may go down. Those are expensive. Blink, though, is on cooldown at this point, right? Can he get out? Okay, he does not get out in time. Purification Nova once again, trying to get whatever he can. Any unit at this point is priceless. Couple reinforcing units here do get sniped as well, but at the very least they get 2 Stalkers. 2 Stalkers for 2 Marauders? It's actually the best case scenario. EMP right there as well on the Prism to try and snipe that down. With the Prism, I mean, if the Prism goes down here, that's going to be the end of that. The 4 SCVs, by the way, that were mining previously, they are now gone. Cure not really focused anymore on trying to get his economy back up. He wants to win this game right here, right now. Prism manages to sneak away just barely. 7 health remaining in total. That is like 1 shot from a ghost away. Alright, and that means that he's gonna have to land the orbital command once again and continue mining for a little bit longer. Literally 0 income. Literally 0 income here for Classic at this point. Yeah, those probes of his, they're just hanging out in the natural. At this point, though, all he's really got is a Prism, 2 Disruptors, and a Dream. There's, I guess, a few Stalkers available, but these Stalkers, they are not gonna be able to achieve much against this many Marauders. Those Medevacs, by the way, not to be underestimated either. Those are super powerful units. At this point, Cure could even think about splitting up his units if he really wants to. Here's the Purification Novas, though, going after the economy. Only a single SCV goes down, but the Stalkers, I mean, they do find this base right now, yeah. I think they can continue harassing for a little bit longer, maybe force the Terran to come back home. Stimpack used right there by Cure, who wants to go after whatever he can. Alright, this is gotta be it. He's cornered here, essentially. One more Stalker ends up going down. Another Stalker, okay, at least gets picked up right there by the Prism. Classic, okay, finds a fresh mule at the very least, but what he really wants is the army, so the indecisiveness right here is gonna keep that mule alive. He gets 1 Zealot going. Cure, by the way, making another SCV. I wonder if the SCV is the right call. Now, I love this. Cure has managed to afford 1 Viking. And normally 1 Viking is not that scary, but I think in this particular instance, that's gonna be a very nice unit to have. As the last unit goes down on the right side of your screen, and as Classic sees that Viking flying past his observer, it's indeed Cure who obtains the victory. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. I know it's kind of annoying that I have to ask, but it really does help with the algorithm. And if you really enjoyed watching this video, please consider subscribing. That way you will get notifications as soon as future videos go live. For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.